Hey everybody, Julie Goen here. I want to talk to you today about appraisal gaps. And I'm going to tell you what that means. So if you are selling your home and you have a buyer who has written an offer on your property for a certain amount, and that buyer needs financing. So they're not paying cash, they're going through a lender to get a mortgage on your home. They need to have an appraisal on that home. So the lender will order an appraisal from a third party appraisal company. They'll come out, they'll take a look, they'll assess the home, and they're going to make sure that the buyer is paying what they should on the property in order for the bank to loan the money. And in a perfect world, the buyer's offer price and the appraisal price would match up perfectly and there'd be no problems. Every once in a while, we come into a little problem with an appraisal. And I can speak for myself, it happens very rarely. In 10 years, I can count on one hand how many appraisals I've seen that have come in low and that there's been an issue and we've had to work through. In the past couple of years, because buyers have been paying well over asking price on many, many homes, and sellers are receiving offers that are way higher than the purchase price that the house was listed for, we have come into some issues with houses not appraising for the purchase price that the buyer is buying it for. In that case, there may be an appraisal gap. So for example, if the house is listed for $200,000, but the buyer is willing to pay, let's say $250,000, and the house doesn't appraise at $250,000, let's say it appraises at $230,000 or $240,000, there is a gap of a certain dollar amount that it doesn't match up with the purchase price. So back in the day, if that happened and there were no other offers on the property, the buyer was the only buyer writing an offer on this property, 9 times out of 10, the seller would lower the purchase price of the home to match up with the appraisal so the buyer could move forward. Nowadays, because there are so many buyers and so many offers on properties, sellers feel like they don't necessarily have to do that because another buyer can come around and buy the property, or they come back to the buyer who wrote the offer on the property and ask them to come up with the difference. So that's what I'm talking about, a gap in the appraisal, where the appraisal amount does not match up with the purchase price. What we're seeing happen many times is that a buyer will write something into their offer saying that they will cover any gap in appraisal, or they'll cover up to a certain dollar amount, whether it's $5,000 or $10,000. And that is to make their offer more appealing to the seller, to stand out from the sea of other offers that might be out there on this property, and to make sure the seller understands that they're not going to be coming back to the seller asking them to lower the purchase price. They're going to be coming up with the difference in that appraisal gap in order to move forward with financing. So if you're a seller and you're listing your home and you're receiving lots and lots of offers on your home, and offers are going way over asking price to the point where you know your house is not going to appraise for this high price that's out there, you might want to talk to your agent about who is covering the appraisal gap, if there is one. If you're a buyer and you're writing offers on properties and you're writing offers for way over asking price, and not a little bit over, but so far over that you know that house is probably not going to appraise, you need to have a conversation with your agent about what happens if that house does not appraise, who is picking up the cost, whether it's the buyer or the seller, or sometimes they meet in the middle. Okay, so something to understand and learn about is appraisal gap. The buyer can't move forward with financing if the house doesn't appraise for a certain amount, and the seller can't move forward with that buyer who wrote an offer on the property if the appraisal doesn't come through. Okay, something to know. Have that conversation with your agent ahead of time. Have it ahead of selling your property. Have it with your agent if you're a buyer ahead of writing an offer on a property, so there are no surprises. If you have any more questions, I'm always here. Bye.